I can't believe I'm saying this, but Kiki Textiles sent me fabric. This is a burnt orange stretch velvet. It has a medium to heavy weight, and it's also a 4-way stretch. Now for today's project, you're gonna need a measuring tape, a ruler or rulers. I have my straight and I have my hip curve, a calculator, or you can use your phone, of course, a pair of scissors or shears, whatever you have on hand, some lovely pins and a pin holder or a cushion, whatever you have, girl or boy. You're gonna need a pencil. You're gonna need matching thread that goes with the fabric that you're using. Lastly, some pattern paper. Now I'll be designing a dress for my cousin Keisha, so I created a bunch of sketches to send over to her. I really tried my best to sketch something that could be created with the fabric, has minimal alterations, and something that I could actually make for real. Unfortunately, Keisha lives all the way in New York City and I live in Buffalo, so we're not going to be able to meet up for fittings, but that's okay. After sending some inspo pictures and sketches back and forth, we finally settled on a tube dress with a flirty flare skirt. The top of this outfit is going to be 2 pieces. It's going to be a tube top and then an extra lower piece, and then the bottom is going to be a flared skirt. Now this time I'm not playing around. I made a construction plan, so there's literally little room for error. I recommend you and literally every designer to do this, just to keep track of all the steps that it's going to take to make the garment, and also you'll have a little bit of room to add notes, so if you plan on recreating this design in the future, all of the planning would already be done and all you have to do is cut and sew. Alright, let's get this party started. So let's start with the patterns. I wrote down we're going to need 6 of them, but honestly we only need 3. We need 1 pattern for the top tube part, 1 pattern for the mid panel section of the top, and 1 very long rectangular shape for the skirt, because every section of the dress is identical front and back. For example, the skirt pattern in the front is going to be exactly the same as the one in the back, so they're identical to each other. I really hope that didn't confuse you guys. Literally, I said we're gonna need 6 patterns. We're only gonna need 3, and we're gonna cut each one twice. As you guys can see, I have 3 patterns right here. I have the top part, I have the mid panel, and then that huge square over to the right is the skirt pattern. I'm gonna be honest, making patterns are exhausting to me. Like, I'm not good at explaining them, so I'll write down all the steps that it took to make each pattern in a description. So yes, please look at the description bar before you actually start sewing, so you know exactly what needs to be done. Now this part is optional. Because my cousin doesn't live close by me, I used her measurements to adjust my dress form. This is a way for me to make sure all my patterns are going to fit her body, all the fabric pieces are going to actually fit before I ship it out. Now that I confirmed that our pattern is going to fit my cousin's body, it's time to bring back this beautiful fabric. I'm not playing around when I say both sides of the fabric feel so good on your skin. The color is so rich and vibrant with or without flash. Before you start cutting or even sewing your velvet, always check the nap direction first. Now the perfect way to test this is to run your hand over the fabric. One way should feel a lot more smooth and it should be shiny, while the other direction might feel a little bit more rough and it might appear to be darker. Once you figure that out, make sure every single pattern piece is facing the same direction for consistency throughout the whole garment. Do you understand me? Now for tips on how to cut out the patterns, please check the description bar below, but overall the top 2 pieces should be cut on a fold and should be cut out twice. Now the skirt doesn't have to be cut on a fold, but you do need 2 pieces. So at this point you should have 3 patterns but 6 pieces in total. Because the top is broken into 2 pieces, you should have 4 pieces in total for your top piece, and you should have 2 for the bottom. Now today is a brand new day and this is when the sewing actually begins, so let's grab this beautiful fabric and let's get to it. Now I did forget to mention this in the beginning, but you might need some elastic for this project. It is not a necessity, but it does help out a lot, so if you do have some, great. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. And I also wanted to mention that my thread is a little bit lighter than a fabric, but it's okay. It's okay. Now to start this whole thing, we have to connect our top pieces. So grab one of your tube top pieces and one of your mid panels and pin them together. You do want to make sure that you are pinning the right sides together, and if you're not sure, the right side of the fabric is the side of the fabric that you want to see. The wrong side of the fabric is is the inside of the fabric. As you can see here, I pinned the two pieces together about a half an inch under the raw edge of both pieces. Now I'm making these two pieces my front top, so I'm gonna make sure I do the same exact thing that I'm doing here to the back pieces. Once you are finished pinning both pieces together, it's time to start sewing. Now your girl has a Singer heavy duty sewing machine, and I had it for years now, like I think over 10 years. And if you guys want a tutorial on how to thread this machine, please let me know in the comment section below and I got you. For today's project, I had my stitch length in between 3 and 4, and I had it on a zigzag stitch. Anywho, now it's time to place the patterns under your presser foot. Once your presser foot is down and locked in, start sewing along the pins. Take them out as you go so you're not sewing over any of your pins, but also you should be sewing 5/8 of an inch from that raw edge. Once you finish sewing the front and back piece of your top, it should look like this. You should have one seam going across below your bust. Remember to do the same thing you did to the front of the top to the back of the top, and then pin both pieces half an inch from the raw edges of the side seam. And I took a little break because y'all know I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I just was kissing on my little baby. But right after that, I put right sides together and put my pins in place and started sewing both pieces together. And when I say sew 5/8 of an inch along the raw edges, there's a 5/8 marker on the actual sewing machine so you can see it while you're sewing. This is perfect for sewing in a straight line just in case your fabric moves a little bit. And I just want to say, every project I had where I had to sew with velvet, it always shifts on me, but not this one right here. Now your top should look like this. Well, kinda. Keisha's bust is bigger than her below and above bust, so there's some extra fabric at the top. And because the fabric is so stretchy, I just decided to just take it in a little bit more so everything is just nice and smooth. And if you have a serger or some type of overlock machine, at this point you can clean up the raw edges. But once you do, you are good to go, and the top should look like this. You should be looking snatched. Now this is where the elastic comes in. I'm adding elastic to the top of the dress to prevent any slipping. Once you figure out the perfect length of your elastic, sew both edges together, one overlapping the other. Now my elastic was too wide, so I had to shorten the width of it. So I marked half an inch down from one edge towards the other. And once I did that, I trimmed off the extra and started working on my elastic casing. The elastic casing is what holds the elastic. Hello, duh, y'all knew that, but it could be a little bit tricky. I personally recommend pinning as much as you can, half an inch down from the top hem to completely cover your elastic. Make sure you are stretching out your elastic as you're sewing and not so much your fabric. And once you finish, it should look like this. Remember I said I wish my thread was a little bit darker. Because it is lighter, it looks a little weird to me, but I still like it. Also, I didn't notice, but my daughter adjusted the exposure on my camera so it looks a lot lighter than what it actually is, so my apologies, but it will change in a few seconds. Now here's the fun part. This is also completely optional, but I'm hand stitching some gathers at the side seams of the top. Now this creates like a ruching in the mid panel, and personally I love this technique because I don't have a six-pack, okay? So it kind of covers up any little imperfections. At this point, I believe I pinned and hand stitched like 2 gathers on each side of the side seams. And once I finished that, I started the skirt, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous. Not only are we hemming one edge of the fabric, we are also base stitching the other one. Let's be honest here, the hemming was the easier part. Just fold the hem downward half an inch, wrong sides together, and then do it one more time, another half an inch to create a double hem. See, me, I love a good double hem as a clean finish, but you can also serge the hem of the skirt and then fold it down a half an inch, wrong sides together. Dang, Alexis, you skipped a step or two. I don't know. I got you. This is what our skirt should look like after we hem it, and then we do the base stitching at the top. I did the front skirt by myself, but we're gonna do the back together. After you sew down that double hem, change your stitch length all the way to 4 and change the style of stitching from zigzag to a straight stitch. This part is so important. Pull out as much thread as you can, not too much, but just enough to pull and wrap around your hand. I'm telling you, you're gonna thank me later, but on the opposite edge of the double hem, sew a straight line 5/8 of an inch from the raw edge. When you finish, keep some extra thread hanging from the end of it before you cut it from the machine. Okay, now, so follow me here. On one side of the base stitching where the extra thread is hanging, pull one of those threads until the skirt starts to gather. Once your gathers are evenly spaced out and you have the perfect length, it's time to put both skirt pieces together. And please don't forget to double knot the ends of those loose threads so you do not lose your gathers. So now you should have gathers at the top, a hem at the bottom, and pins along the side seams of the skirt so you can sew them together. It's time to connect the hem of the top to the gathers on the skirt. Turn your top upside down, right side showing. Place your top inside of the skirt, right sides together. So basically you're connecting the top to the bottom to create a dress just like this. At this point, if you like what you see, then you can absolutely stop. But I'm extra, so I'm actually going to add some more gathers at the side seam of the top. So if you do have the time, patience, and the space, go for it, queen. This would be the perfect time too to do like a final fitting on yourself or your client just to make sure everything is fitting smoothly. If not, make sure you do the proper alterations and take notes for the future just in case you make this dress again. And if I'm being honest, this stretch velvet is so stretchy, like honestly you shouldn't have any issue. Now I just want to play around with the length of the dress because it's kind of too long in my opinion. But Keisha did say, Alexis, do not make it too short. So after I finished my gathers, I only took about 2 to 3 inches off of the hem. I measured about 2.5 inches up from the previous hem. I made some markings on the inside of the dress and pinned through both sides of the skirt. Now if you are shortening your dress, cut below the pins and not above so you're not losing more fabric than you have to. After that, give it one more try on, see how you like it, dance in it if you have to, do whatever you gotta do, girl. Now Keisha is a little bit taller than me and she has a little bit more body than me, okay? So I think this is gonna fit her perfectly. After sewing my new hem, now this is the final results and I'm pretty impressed. Like I mentioned before, I think I'm gonna change the thread color next time, but the fabric itself, 10 out of 10. Oh my god, thank you again Kiki Textiles for sending me this beautiful fabric. I hope I made you proud and I'm so honored. Victoria, thank you again. I love you so much. And for everyone watching, please comment below if you have any questions and thank you so much for watching. Also, if you enjoy sewing content and tutorials like this video and subscribe to my channel.